Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this one, we're not checking out the vegan. With how busy I've been with work and the current state of flying in between 11.0 and 12.7, decided to back down just a little bit and go back into props. Honestly, right now it's just more fun for me to fly compared to, you know, the SU-27 and F-16 and F-15. So right here we have the P-51D-30. You can classify P-51s by, wartime P-51s and the post-time P-51, which is the P-51H that never actually saw any combat use during World War II. And if it did, it was only one, maybe two missions, and it was not as prevalent as the D5, D10, D20, and the D30, which we have here. So it is the final rendition, you could say, before the P-51H, where they just took this thing and made a super prop. Now, it's still a very familiar plane, especially if you've been flying the D5, which is still in the tech tree. It's a little harder to compare it to the C, the P-51C that's at 4.0. That aircraft has a Razorback, I suppose we should call it, whereas the later P-51s have a bubble canopy and honestly look better, in my opinion. But you still have 650 cals, which is a decent armament. And while we're on the topic of 50 cals, the belts that I've been using are universal or stealth. I would not recommend using tracers because at the moment, right now I'm recording this on the 22nd of March 2024. The 50 caliber bullets are kind of hit and miss, and when you use universal and or stealth, you have less tracer rounds or no tracer rounds, which makes it a little harder for your enemies to, actually see your bullets. In this one I'm using universal. This was technically like a 6-kill, 1-assist game, because I'm going to count this right here, this maneuver kill. I have no idea what happened to that guy. I think he just compressed into the ground, or, he did something. But anyways, using universal in this clip, and I prefer that over ground target belts because I believe that it has more incendiary rounds compared to the ground target belts. And then, tracers are just tracer belts. But if you want to use stealth, what I have been doing is setting my convergence to 400 meters, no vertical convergence, because of, the 50 cals are kind of far out there on the wing. So no vertical targeting, 400 meters, and once you kind of get into that range and know where to lead your bullets, you'll be pretty successful with the stealth belts. And you'll have the added benefit of your enemy isn't going to see your bullets. Now, something else that is going to be a pretty large drawback is that it's not really going to be great in a furball. This is not, I'm stupid. I'm not the best pilot. So I think in a few of these clips I did go into a furball. But this is not the type of airplane that you want to be taking into that. The P-51 likes to be at high altitude, and it likes to be fast. That's the name of the game with it. And if you're watching my speed closely, you know, there are a few instances in this video where I am kind of trying to turn fight a little bit, get my flaps out. But most of the time, you're going to see that my IAS is between 350 and 450 kilometers an hour. And that's really the sweet spot for this plane. Once you start getting into or up towards 650 kilometers an hour, your control surfaces start to compress a little bit, and you start to lose a little bit of that deflection, and therefore you can't maneuver as well. So like I said, this plane just all by itself, without me having to really watch how I'm turning or maneuvering, will most of the time in a dogfight stay between that 350 to 450 range. And that's honestly where it performs the best. And depending on, where your position is, like that previous clip, the VL, sorry, I'm not going to try to pronounce that other one. I'll butcher it. The Swedish premium that is really good at stall speeds for some reason. I came in above him, and he was just trying to get out from in front of my nose, and just had a nicely planned shot, and my speed was right, and he just couldn't do anything about it. And with 190s, the P-51 is more maneuverable than the Focke-Wulfs. With 109s, it's kind of hit and miss depending on the other player. I mean, if they're pretty skilled and have done a little bit of stall fighting, I would not recommend, especially if they are in one of the later variants of the 109, like the G10, G14, and the K. Those are going to be able to quickly overpower you and just get into a better position than you faster. The later 109s, one-on-one with a P-51, are a better plane. And you also have to take into account that the P-51 is meant to be a pack fighter. It's not designed to be a solo act like most of the 109s, 190s, Spitfires, Zeros, the Italian planes. Most of those were designed, with it in mind that it's just going to be a single pilot, and there's not going to be as much, pack fighting. The Americans had a different philosophy, and you can see that when you fly the P-51, and that's going to kind of make it a little bit harder for most players. I myself, most of the time, am not playing with a squad. When your buddy is halfway across the world and you both work, it's a little bit hard to plan a time to fly. So that's just something else to keep in mind. Now, this is an interesting clip here with the whatever this one is, the T-57, the Swedish twin-engine strike aircraft. Those things are surprisingly maneuverable for how large they are. Still, I was able to, I don't know if there's a name for the maneuver that I'm going to pull here, but I'll go up and pop my flaps out. And the only reason I did that is because there weren't any other enemies around me. But I was able to just go up, get on a 6 real quick, and then a teammate tried to steal him. And also kind of touching on the new how they assign kills. Thank God, because otherwise, you know, I wouldn't have hardly gotten any kills this game. Now I can light planes on fire, get the critical damage, and get counted for the kill. So right here, you know, I was kind of hoping that guy would team kill me just so that he learned. I don't know how he sucks at aiming that much, but he needs to get a little bit better than that. Holy hell, man! I thought about team killing him there for a second. Anyways, down the T-57. This is a little bit of furball action here, and honestly, this was a little more in my favor. I am using stealth belts this match. What is that? A Yak 3? Yak 3U, I think. I don't know. I got him in the head on. He lit on fire, and you know, that's it. Then a couple of Saabs are going to come in. You know, near and dear to me. But, you know, the P-51 with combat flaps can keep up with quite a few planes. But this was just one of those situations where there were 4 enemies, like 3 or 4 enemies, and there was not much I could do. So it was not that guy. I don't think it was. I turned around on one J-21 and got him in a head-on. But that is another benefit of stealth rounds, is if you are in a head-on, they're not gonna know. I also don't know how I didn't die from the J-21, but you know, it is what it is. And here's a sim game. This is kind of embarrassing. It's like I don't even know how to hold a stick. But coming up on a 288, got him right in my crosshair for a second, and then, you know, overcorrected and barely got a hit on him. I just kind of figured I would throw this in for funsies, but maybe there will be more sim gameplay. I'm not for sure. The D-30 is quite fun in simulator games, and quite effective too. So it's kind of interesting right there. But, you know, just another clip. I'm up high, and there's a 190. This was a pretty decent fight. You know, some of these guys, it'll go one of two ways. They're either going to try to fight you, or they're just going to, you know, turn into a wet spaghetti noodle and not know what to do. So right now, going up against German players is ridiculously easy. I don't know if maybe that's me getting better or the German players just getting worse. But yeah, I mean, spaded the D-30, and it has not really disappointed me yet. You know, like I said, this is the most powerful and final rendition of the wartime P-51s, and it really shows. Although, you know, with its few drawbacks, like not being able to fight in the furball and kind of needing to side climb and get some altitude, and the the 50 cals being hit or miss, it's pretty fun. And once you get the hang of it, it's something that you can be successful with, and a plane that you guys definitely need to try and fly. But with that, we are going to wrap this video up. It's getting kind of long, right at the 14-minute mark. And right here at the end, just so everybody knows, videos are probably going to be a little bit longer in between now. I mean, there's just a lot. There's a lot going on. You know, I got the VIG in. I'm working again. And, you know, hanging out with the baby gets a little bit crazy. So, you know, I'm going to work on them, but it just won't be as consistent. So, as always, guys, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.